And you're welcome back. MPs back to the House today after a long break. Their tasks are numerous, but they kicked it off with the approval process for President Akufo-Addo's nominee for the position of the Chief Justice. Justice Gertrude Tokono was vetted about a week ago, but the minority vowed not to approve her nomination unless the Supreme Court publishes details of the Quashie verdict in that dispute over the eligibility of the Member of Parliament for Asin North MP, Mr. Quashie, an NPP, an NDC member, was subsequently removed from Parliament's record. Well, this morning, the minority held a news conference to update its position on the approval of the Chief Justice nominee. Mahama Yariga has been addressing the press on the matter.
Is gearing up to contest the by-election in Asin North, which has been brought about by the Supreme Court's decision. In that regard, we, the members of the Appointments Committee representing the National Democratic Congress, NDC, will not withhold our approval of the Chief Justice's nominee by consensus. We will not withhold our approval of her by consensus. Her CV reveals a person of considerable experience, having served as a judge from the High Court to the Court of Appeal and ultimately at the Supreme Court. Women who have acquitted themselves should be given opportunities to occupy key national offices. Even as we disagree with her jurisprudence, we find her qualified to occupy the high office of Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana.
Kweku Asante is joining us now from Parliament for more on this. And Kweku, you've been listening to further arguments on this and the reaction coming through from the majority side. What's their reaction, really?
So it appears that the majority side is really excited about this shift in position that the minority have made. It paves the way cleanly for Justice Gertrude Tokono to go through as Chief Justice. We know that today, Justice Jones to keep read his valedictorian. In 2 days' time, he will retire. He is the acting Chief Justice. That will mean that the acting Chief Justice baton will pass on to the next senior most judge, which will be Paul Bafuboni, who is a Supreme Court judge currently. And so the majority side and government are racing against time to secure Justice Gertrude Tokono's approval. And the minority's latest statement clearly paves the way for that. And waiting is a little past 3 now. We are waiting to see exactly what the House will do on this. In the report of the appointment committee yet. Although just gone by in the last 30 minutes, the chairman of the committee, the first deputy speaker, Joseph Osei, who has laid the report of the committee, which we now understand is by consensus. Both sides agreeing to approve Justice Gertrude Tokono's nomination. So what is left now is for the report to be debated, to be voted on, for Justice Gertrude Tokono to go to the presidency to be sworn in. That is exactly what we know when it's happening. But as of the part is clear, she has gotten the approval of both the minority and the majority in the committee, which means that the process is much more smooth when it comes to the floor by a voice vote. And that is what we are waiting for. It's just past 3. The committee report was just laid. It is not clear if the debate will happen this evening and approval done today, or the House may take an adjournment and continue tomorrow.
And you've been interacting with some members of Parliament on this. What sense do you get from them in terms of readiness towards expediting the process?
Well, it appears both sides agree that this process must go through quite expeditiously, but there do not seem to be. They've been dealing with a number of other business. For instance, the new member of parliament for Kumo, who has now been sworn in, they have done a number of papers. They've laid them. They are currently haggling over whether or not a business and trade ministry must be considered under a certificate of urgency or not. No mention has been made on that report that has now been laid, the appointment committee report, and it's the first report of that vetting committee, and whether or not the vote will happen now. Both sides agree, like I said earlier on, that this report must go through expeditiously, especially now that both sides agree that she is qualified enough to be approved as Chief Justice. And so the only thing left now is for the Speaker of Parliament to allow him to be moved on the report. The second will be debated, and then the voice vote will not happen. We may have that happening this afternoon or this evening. The House has not adjourned. The session has been extended past 2. I'm still waiting. There's no clear indication as to how this is going to be done. But given that this is going to be by a voice vote, both sides no need to prep members in to come and vote on this. We may have it done now or maybe tomorrow morning. But from all indication, this may be done by close of day tomorrow, if it's not done.
Okay, I see. Because still in Parliament, it appears a lot has been happening. The Majority Chief Whip, Frank Nogokpo, has fired some shots at his colleague, the NPP MP and presidential aspirant Kennedy Agyapong, asking him to focus on his campaign and leave him alone. Now, according to Frank Nogokpo, Ken Agyapong has been telling people that he has indicated that the Central MP is not a presidential material, but Frank Nogokpo says that he has no time to engage in such talks. We'll come to you, Kweku, on that, but let's briefly listen to the Majority Chief Whip.
My good friend, the Honorable Ken Agyapong, making all manner of allegations against me. But specifically, he's saying that I am referring to him as not fit for president, not a presidential candidate. In fact, he's one of the senior members of this House that I respect. And on many occasions that we've had tense moments between the two sides, he's intervened. And so I have a great deal of respect for him. When he visited my constituency, I went, I paid for the venue, I hosted him. I spoke very highly of him, even though later some of his boys skewed and took part of the video and said that I have endorsed him against a known fact that I am, all out for Dr. Bawumia. But what I want to say is that it's never true. I can never describe him as somebody not fit for president. When he came to his home, I listened to him carefully. If you listen to his messages, one of the message lines were that he raised issues which are either rumor or things that people are raising against him, and that he would deal with it. One of the things he raised was that people are saying that he's not fit for president. And so he raised it himself, preempted it, and dealt with it. Me, I'm sitting mine somewhere, as will be described. Only for me to hear now I'm not a punching bag. Me being punched by him because in his own estimation, he has heard that somebody says I had said that he's not fit for president. I think it's most unfortunate. First of all, if you hear an allegation, you should have at least called me. Now, I have to speak to you through this medium because several efforts to reach out to him has proved, unfortunately, futile. I feel a bit hurt. I feel very hurt because for anybody who knows me, I don't do politics of attack. Even my opponents, I don't attack them. How much more somebody who is one of our own foes. So I will challenge my good friend. Normally, I won't do this. I want to challenge him. If there is anybody that I have spoken to say that he is not fit for president, he should mention the person's name. Then again, I will also advise him. He should leave me. I'm just a small fly, concentrating on my whip job in this difficult parliament. He shouldn't distract my attention. And then he should focus on his presidential campaign bid and leave me alone. Let me concentrate on my whip job. I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of job to do. Ordinarily, I would not have responded through this medium. But I hear the thing has gone far and people are making... I've received more than 100 calls today. People are asking me, do you have a beef with Ken Agyapong and all that? You want to be president. I didn't ask you to go and contest. So he should simply focus on his presidential bid.
Okay, well, Kweku, any update on that? What may have accounted for this? We've lost Kweku Asante. We'll get back to him later on. The minority in Parliament is waging a relentless war against the World Bank Country Director, Frank Laporte, following his comments about power agreements signed under the National Democratic Congress government. The World Bank Group Country Director has criticized the country for doing a poor job in concluding power purchase agreements signed between 2012 and 2023. But the minority says Mr. Laporte is veering off into local politics and must stay away. John Agyinasare is minority spokesperson on Mines and Energy.
Ghanaians are sick and tired of this unnecessary and flimsy blame game strategy adopted by this government and their hirelings. President Akufo-Addo and his head of the economic management team, Dr. Bawumia, must accept responsibility, demonstrate leadership, and find reasonable solutions to the current economic hardship confronting the ordinary Ghanaian on a daily basis. President Mahama's record in the energy sector is unmatched. President Mahama, before leaving office, ensured that we had a comprehensive foothold, i.e., on the generation, on fuel, and on the financial sector. We finally wish to advise the World Bank Country Director, Mr. Laporte, to continue to work as a technocrat and not meddle himself in the field of politics. Mr. Laporte, you are not a politician. And when you are making such unsubstantiated comments, you must bear in mind that it has far-reaching ramifications on this country. The minority will continue to hold its chest high, will continue to defend the track record of President Mahama and the NDC administration, because our record is unmatched, is unparalleled.
And George Agyinasare, a former Deputy Power Minister, says that John Mahama did no wrong in signing those agreements and were in the country's best interest. He insists that despite the current government criticizing John Mahama for those contracts, it is still extending the contract duration for some of these contracts.
Let us educate all that capacity charges are nothing but standardized and regulated industry tools used by electricity utilities to recover infrastructure expansion costs and development costs. Indeed, the right term is capital recovery. And for your information, even before President Mahama, most of the Tema plants had capacity charges. Just to cite a few examples, Asogli had capacity charges, Tico has capacity charges, Sen Power has capacity charges, Senate has capacity charges, TT2PP has capacity charges. And so capacity charge or capital recovery is not new. But even more importantly, after President Mahama left office, the MPP government, the current MPP government, has signed PPAs that has take or pay or capacity charges embedded in them. You'll recall that President Mahama brought in the AXA plant, which is a 370 megawatt plant. We signed it for 5 years. That was during emergency. Immediately the contract expired around June, July. 2 months after, this current MPP administration signed a new contract for the same plant, extending the years from 5 years to 15 good years. Not only did they extend it to 15 years, if you read the contract contains take or pay clauses or capacity charges.
Well, so that's the minority with their position there, but you can also catch the side of the World Bank by just moving to any of our online portals, so you can get to catch the repeat of that conversation with Pierre Laporte on PM Express Business Edition with George Weafe. Let's stay on matters relating to Parliament because James Jachik Kwesen, whose name has been struck off the list of members of Parliament in the last session, is making a strong comeback. He's on a campaign bid just to seek re-election within the Asin North constituency. We understand that for the very first time he's making a public appearance within the community and touring some of the areas. Let's get more now from my colleague who has been monitoring that for us, Richard Kujunyaku, who's joining me via Zoom. Richard, if you can hear me, what's the latest within the constituency and what can you report? Richard, if you're with me, I'm just wondering what James Agyinasare has been up to. So James Agyinasare, in your shots there, making a triumphant entry, if you want to call it as such. But Richard Kujunyaku, if you can hear me, what's happening in the video as we see it, and what can you report?
Okay, so James Agyinasare, the former MP for the Asin North, is just entering with officials of the NDC to the Asin North constituency officially to begin the campaign. In fact, the NDC has indicated that he is going to be their candidate, and so there's not going to be any primaries to be held by the NDC. So that is what you see in your shot here in the Asin North constituency.
And why is he choosing today of all days? Of course, it's expected that he would have spent some time there within the constituency, but why is he doing that today?
Well, so today precedes the parliamentary primaries of the MPP, and so they chose today to also get into the constituency officially to begin their campaign. In fact, some officials of the NDC have been in the constituency for some time now, and they have been engaged in some campaigns. So they've divided themselves into blocks, and so they have taken some of the major towns, and that is where active campaigning is ongoing. If you go to the Asin North constituency, there is an aggressive construction of roads. They are giving the major roads within the towns in the Asin North constituency some facelifts. And so people are also divided about the kind of construction that is ongoing.
Hello, Richard. Okay, we seem to have lost Richard briefly. We'll bring him back to know much more about the NPP strategy as well. But you see supporters of James Agyinasare following through on that convoy, where, of course, he's making arguably the first public appearance or grand entry into a constituency which once used to be his own, serving the people as their member of parliament. But Richard, if you can hear me, well, it appears we do not have Richard back on with us. We'll get him and get you some more updates. Now, some residents of Kumo in the Ashanti region are unhappy with the pace of work in the area, particularly when it comes to the construction of roads within the community. The concerned residents claim that the speed of work experienced ahead of the recent by-election has slowed. They also doubt the quality of work being done, considering the fact that the project lacks a drainage system. We have more in this report for you.
Construction of roads in the Kumo constituency took off after the death of the Member of Parliament, Philip Basua. The timing of the development was questioned by both residents and a section of Ghanaians, claiming the swiftness was due to the impending by-elections, an assertion debunked by the Road Ministry. Though the contractor is on site, some road users claim the work is progressing at a snail pace compared to the speed of work ahead of the by-elections.
The pace of work here has slowed significantly. How the work is progressing is nothing compared to when all public officials assembled here. No bridge and segmented outcomes.
At the same time, no bridge.
From here to Bodumase has been tarred, but the next town has been neglected. From Fijase to the Zongo has been tarred, but not the next town. We don't understand.
The Ghana Boundary Commission is optimistic a long-standing maritime disagreement between Ghana and Togo, when resolved, to help expedite utilization of potential resources in the Keta Basin. Speaking at the Ministry of Information ahead of the African Border Day Wednesday, National Coordinator Major General Emmanuel Kotia indicated that negotiations are ongoing with a positive outcome expected.
Ghana has a challenge with Togo so far as our maritime boundary is concerned. This came up since 2016. Therefore, the president of Ghana and Togo decided that Ghana and Togo should establish a technical committee, a joint technical committee, to negotiate on how to resolve the maritime dispute. These negotiations have been going on over the years. I must say that the negotiations have reached a very important level where probably we may be seeing the negotiations coming to fruition very soon. But the negotiations are still ongoing. They are the final stages, and once that is done, that would be announced to the general public. So negotiations are going on very well. It's got to the involvement of the two hero states so far as these negotiations are concerned. And then we are hoping that once this is resolved, the Keta Basin, which is very close to the boundary, to the international maritime boundary, would be open up to investors for oil and what have you, and other activities, and even the fisher folk in that area. So once that is not resolved, we know that investors are waiting to see how that can be open. So the negotiations are ongoing, and we are hoping that it will end soon so that the area will be open. 2017, it lost vis-a-vis Ghana, Togo. Yes, you know, there are various ways by which you can resolve disputes. One way is to go for arbitration. Another way is that you can negotiate with a neighboring country. And in the ITLOS, it really gives you room for that. Now, for Ghana and Togo, it's progressing very well so far as those discussions are concerned. One cannot say that that should be the only one. It happened with Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. So various means are available for Ghana and Togo to use to resolve that thing. But what I can say is that I think that the negotiations have been going on well, and we are hoping that it will end up well. Once it doesn't end up well, probably government will decide or what action to be taken. That is not the Ghana Boundary Commission that will decide. Take note about it. On Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, you all remember that in 2017, the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea ruled in favor of Ghana so far as the international maritime boundary is concerned. Currently, what we are doing in Cote d'Ivoire is to proceed on the implementation of the ITLOS ruling. And we've had fruitful discussions with the National Boundary Commission of Cote d'Ivoire on how to proceed on this. The two commissions have been discussing details, and this month, the two commissions are even going to meet at the terminating point to discuss further on how to implement this. On our own, for the very first time since the ruling, the Ghana Boundary Commission, in conjunction with the Ghana Navy, has gone on a maritime inspection along the maritime boundary that was declared by the ITLOS. And I want to say that all is going on well. There have not been any violations so far as the international maritime boundary is concerned.
The Minister for Interior, Ambrose Derry, has described the see something initiative, which was launched last year as one of the successful projects so far instituted. The minister has revealed that there has been a massive cooperation from citizens since the campaign started. He was speaking at the Spanish Embassy's donation of some Ford Ranger pickups to the Ghana Immigration Service. There's more in this report.
Ghana is relatively a safe country in a region with growing safety and security concerns. However, the recent increase in activities of violence and the worsening political instability in neighboring countries has intensified Ghanaians and international entities' attention to security matters. The See Something, Say Something launched by government last year has been described by the Interior Minister, Ambrose Derry, as highly effective and captivating. He says the campaign has encouraged citizens to approach the police more confidently, and there's an increase in the reportage of issues without hesitation. According to him, the recent incidents in Daboya serve as a testament to its success, attributed to the skillful mediation techniques employed by the Ghanaian police.
We're getting a lot, and especially with the police service. If you followed the police service has instituted a community approach to most of their activities. And that's what is going to give us last. You don't just go into a community, arrest people, beat some, kill some. You don't achieve that. The cohesion that we are beginning to get, which is going the same with the police, with the immigration and this, we are listening more to the community. And as we do so, you begin to see that things are happening. For instance, recently we heard of Daboya. It was Daboya breaking of windscreens and rest of them. In the end, with unfortunate loss of a man who was over 80 years old shot on the field. But in spite of the fact that they damaged police equipment, the police engaged them, got their cooperation, arrested people, screened them, and we're going on. That's why we think that all of you are important, because sometimes I get a phone call from a journalist who tells me that this thing is happening here and we are not there, and we are able to deal with it. So I think we are better off now.
The ambassador of Spain to Ghana, Javier Gutierrez, explained the motive behind the donation of the 4 Ford Ranger pickups by the Spanish embassy.
Spain has been cooperating in the past few years with the security forces of Ghana, both with the Ghana Immigration Service and the police, and we've been, among other things, building capacities through the donation of equipment. The equipment donated today for 4-wheel drive vehicles are meant for the border control to improve the capacities of the Ghana Immigration Service, and also for the police in the fight against crime. And this is just a partnership between Spain and Ghana, and we want to build this partnership also in the field of security. I believe that this cooperation has been fruitful for both countries. I think, as I mentioned during my statement, Spain is also learning from Ghana. Ghana has been successful in preventing terrorism from attacking your territory, the Ghanaian territory. And I think that we are also learning from you.
The vehicles will be given to the Ghana Immigration Service and the Criminal Investigation Department to aid their security operations. Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah, reporting for Joy News.
The Bono East Regional Manager of the Environmental Protection Agency, Anthony Dia, has charged stakeholders and the general public to work towards ensuring that the Tano River, which is the major source of drinking water for the people of the area, is protected from plastic pollution. He made the call during a brief ceremony in Techiman to mark this year's World Environment Day, which was held under the theme, Beat Plastic Pollution.
Led by the United Nations Environment Programme and marked annually on June 5 since 1973, the World Environment Day has grown to become one of the biggest global platforms for environmental outreach, with millions across the world engaging to protect the planet. Here in the Techiman municipality of the Bono East region, regional authorities of the Environmental Protection Agency, together with other stakeholders, observed the celebrations under the theme, Protect Tano River from Plastic Pollution. Regional EPA boss Anthony Diaz says there is a need to protect the source of the Tano River, which has over the years been the major source of drinking water for the people of the region.
So the essence of SYA is to embrace the World Environment Day celebration by getting actively involved through these various activities to create the awareness among the community members and the citizens around. The Tano River is so dear to the people of Bono East, and Ahafo, because this is where it takes its source and it ends up in the Gulf of Guinea. Therefore, if pollution takes place here, at the upstream where it sources, then you can imagine what happens to downstream users. So it is important for us here to know that we have to protect, preserve Tano River, which happens to be our resource, because that is the basis upon which we can all boast of ourselves.
Mr. Anthony highlighted that it is important for stakeholders to work towards adopting sustainable means of educating the populace, particularly school-going children, on reasons why they must desist from dumping plastics into nearby rivers.
Issues that has to do with plastic pollution is not a one day. You realize that in the presentation we said there must be a sustained effort, continuous education. This must not stop. The education must continue from all levels, from 5 first cycles. You realize that we have in our midst the JSS and the school people who are all here to really know why they must beat plastic pollution. So we have to look at sustained efforts at trying to educate the populace. Then we also have to adopt best practices. We must also make sure that at least we promote what is called waste segregation, so that at the end of the day, the plastics can be segregated from the organics, so that organics can be used for compost, and a little of this will go to the landfill side.
Chairman of the occasion and Benkumhino of the Techiman Traditional Council, Okunjiaman Kesi Beseshia II, on his part, appealed to authorities to put in place dustbins at designated areas to prevent the public from dumping plastics indiscriminately.
If you don't provide the dustbin, where does the person put the thing? Those who have vehicles, they can put in their vehicles until they get home. But others, where do they put them? So as we blame the system, we must also blame lack of the facility to ensure that the person will put the thing at the right place. So that one, I side with whoever will say that the dustbins are not there, and therefore it becomes natural that when you finish whatever you want to do with the plastic, you throw it down there.
He underscored the negative health effects of keeping warm food in plastics and called on the populace to revisit the use of leaves in place of plastics as another form of beating plastic pollution.
We are even told when the food is hot and you put it in a plastic, it's poisonous. Once it is poisonous, if you put it in the hot container, it is poisonous. If you can get cancer later, if the facts I have is true, then I think we need to get away from those things. So to me, if we can get some people to farm in such plants, I think it will be good. And then finally, it can be a commercial venture that will also indeed help the environment to achieve the purpose for which we are here today.
Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
Experts in the extractive industry are warning of grave consequences if Ghana goes ahead to extract bauxite in the Tiwa forest. It's been estimated that some 1.7 trillion will be spent in 2023 on clean technologies due to the dramatic spike in demand for metals and minerals worldwide. This is raising concerns amongst environmentalists, civil society groups and in the industry about the need to decarbonize the process for extraction of the metals. Co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Manteyao, is warning any attempt by a government to degrade the Tiwa forest will not augur well for the country. Aisha Ibrahim joined Arocha Ghana and some civil society groups in the Tiwa forest and filed this report.
Year 2000 and 2019, 3,264 kilometers square of forest was directly lost due to industrial mining, with 80% occurring in Ghana, Brazil, Indonesia and Suriname. Ghana signed on to the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative in 2003 and is among 55 countries that have agreed to a common set of rules to promote good governance in the management of its natural resources. The Etiwa Range is the site of an important forest reserve and the source of 3 major rivers. It contains ancient bauxitic soils.
Experts say there's enough bauxite in this forest, but we must be cautious of the destruction that we can cause by thinking of exploiting these bauxites and other minerals in this forest.
Etiwa has enormous resources that can generate revenues for the state. The medicinal plants, the water sources from here, a lot of the rivers drain from from this forest. We are talking about the Densu, we are talking about Brim, we are talking about Ayensu. They all take their source from the forest. So if we are going to destroy this forest, that invariably is going to mean that we are destroying our water sources, and therefore quantifying what the effect will be downstream. Those of us who rely on these rivers for drinking water is just unthinkable. And so we need at all costs to be able to identify certain land areas in this country that are no-go areas for mining, based on what purpose they serve and how they contribute to our own human development.
In the middle of the Etiwa forest is the Supon River, which feeds into the Birim River, a key source of drinking water for the people in the eastern region.
We are currently at the Supon River in the Etiwa forest. You can see how clean the water is, but if you move just a little further from here, you will see that the water has been destroyed and you cannot even think of drinking the water.
Deputy National Director of Conservationist Group, Arocha Ghana, Darrell Bosu, says the current high turbidity level of the river, which stands at 11.5 NTU, must prompt government to maintain its quality.
Most of these communities don't have access to pipe-borne water, so when these rivers flow out, that is where they fetch for their daily use and also for other domestic and industrial activities. And we believe that if we want to sustain the activities of communities and their livelihood and also their health, rivers like these, which is devoid of contamination, needs to be prioritized and protected. But what we have also seen is that you can't have clear rivers like these without forests. And that is why we believe that Atiwa, which is on record to be a critical hydrological gem for Ghana, must be protected in the long term, because already, aside Sejimase, there are about 5 million other people who depend on rivers coming from the forest. And they go from people in the city, in Accra, to central region, and even to the eastern region, and even connecting to River Pra, which serves people in the western region. So it's clearly an important ecosystem that we cannot allow anything to touch it. Now, if you step out of this forest, you realize that the rivers there are very, very polluted. And it's all because there's illegal activities going on there.
Programs Officer West Africa at the Ford Foundation, Emmanuel Koyuli, says the next EITI conference, scheduled for June 13 this year, will deliberate on sanctioning member countries who disobey the rules on protecting their natural resources.
I think it's important to include sanctions into the process. Unfortunately, the EITI process, first of all, is voluntary, so it's not an initiative that can force governments to set. But it's important that once a country makes commitments, like Ghana and many other countries have made commitment to the process, that they include very stringent sanctions, so that if you don't comply and ensuring that your communities are protected in this process, then you either are kicked out, and not just being kicked out from the EITI process, but other sanctions, including financial sanctions. There's no point if we move away from fossil fuels through a process that destroys forests. So the simple message is that leave the forests alone.
The EITI standards advocates effective citizen participation. Mr. Koyoli says without such participation, there is a danger of serious environmental damage, corruption and social harm. Aisha Ibrahim, Joy News, Etiwa Forest.
Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. When we get back, we'll talk about the acting Chief Justice, Jones Doche, who's leaving office. He's been making some revelations about attempts that were made by some persons to disrupt his career. We'll talk about that after this break. Please stay. You're welcome back. Acting Chief Justice Jones Doche says attempts were made by some persons to disrupt his relationship with former Chief Justice Quashie Eninyeboah. This, he insists, did not work, and he continues to enjoy a cordial relationship with the retired judge. The two were tipped for the role of Chief Justice barely 3 years ago, but Justice Eninyeboah got the nod. Justice Jones Doche has since retired. Since the retirement of the Chief Justice, been acting as the Chief Justice. He's actually retiring in barely 48 hours, and in a ceremony to honor him, Chief Justice designate Gertrude Tokono had some kind words for him.
Such is my love and affection for this man and my respect for him and the sadness I feel today. I ask you to allow me to stand. Thank you. Thank you all for coming to grace the celebration of today in honor of one of the most distinguished persons to have served on our nation's highest court. In decisions such as Board of Governors Agyinasare School versus Ni Akunote II, Platinum Equities Limited and Lands Commission, judgment dated 20th May 2020, and Martin Alamisi Amidu versus Attorney General, Waterville Holders BVI Limited and Alfred Agbesi Woyome, judgment dated 14 June 2013, to understand the fighter for justice for the deprived in the nation, in Justice Doche. A champion of women and the vulnerable, the determination to break the tide of bullying and compel compliance with the spirit of the law and the Constitution is easily seen in his groundbreaking and incisive opinions in Gregory versus Tandor IV and Hansen, judgment delivered on 12 May 2010, and the second Mensa versus Mensa, judgment dated 22nd February 2012. I have watched with admiration his keen and unflagging intelligence and alertness, his depth of preparation, and the clarity and wisdom with which he leads and presides over panels, and the Supreme Court as President of the Supreme Court. These qualities have been deployed daily in the service of the nation, sometimes without the public noticing and appreciating. But he never took a day off from doing his best. He was not here for the applause. His was a commitment to his conscience, the law, and the good of the nation, as he saw best. If Ghana is to become the nation that it must be, we can only pray that there will be more like him as he takes a bow and leaves the bench today. Distinguished colleagues and guests, the attrition rate of the great and good from the Supreme Court this year leaves us all with great sadness. But I personally cannot help but feel almost orphaned by the situation as I prepare to serve this nation where their big shoes stood. To lose the help and wisdom of His Lordship Justice Victor Jones Maulong Doche, a proud son of Pando, a quintessential example of the beautiful pearl, at a time like this is a big blow.
Justice Doche used the occasion to touch on some national issues of concern to him.
I want to bring to your notice as Ghanaians. I've observed in recent days or years the uncoordinated high-rise buildings in residential areas all over Accra, especially in prime residential areas. Laboni, cantonments, and these go on as if they don't take into consideration the planning scheme of the areas. In Laboni, for example, a mall has been built opposite the Bank of Governor's residence. Bank of Governor lived there, Deputy Governor lived there, but with the building of the mall, they have to change that location into an office. Now, if you go to Cantonments, there's a place that has been dedicated as a vice president's bungalow. Opposite it, it has been built some high-rise buildings with Huawei occupying the top floor. Is it prudent for us to have that high-rise building with a technological company just opposite the vice chancellor's official vice president's official residence? Was that a prudent decision? Now, we all know that the tricycles we find in our cities and towns and villages have come to stay. But is there a licensing and insurance regime of these tricycles that have invaded our roads? Can they not be restricted to ply only access roads instead of the major roads? I heard a Greater Accra minister order somewhere 2 years ago that they should not ply on major roads, but it appears nobody has been listening to him. Urgent steps are needed to sanitize the regulatory and control mechanisms in respect of these tricycles before they go out of hand. Same regime as applied to the motor riders called Okada. I believe that Accra can still be the most cleanest city in Africa, but we are not living up to it. Sanitation must be dealt with as a national crusade at the metropolitan, municipal, and district levels. The filth in our communities must be reduced or eliminated. The police MTTU must be fully equipped to deal promptly with errant drivers with the introduction of the on-the-spot fines. In cases of specific driving offenses like if you jump the red light, overspeeding, driving on the shoulders of the road, etc. It is the delay in getting these cases prosecuted and sent to court that allows the corruption. So if you allow them to give spot fines as happens elsewhere, I think we shall go somewhere in the discipline on our roads.
Well, he also touched on his relationship with former Chief Justices.
Today, I am surprised no bad thing has been said about me. I think I have my bad sides as well, but it's only the Ghanaian hospitality that you are hiding them from me. And so I thank you for all the good things you have said about me. I cannot thank Chief Justice Wood well enough. Most of you who have stayed here for long know the relationship between us. We work very hard. I work for her with dedication. The same applies to Ms. Sofia Akufo. Also work closely with her. And the same applies to Justice Eni Eboa. Justice Eni Eboa met me in Commonwealth in 1976. I was then in my final year for the LLB. And we are great friends. We have a name for ourselves. Wushu. Okay. But then there were some people who tried to bring some wedge between us, but thanks to God, he kept faith with me throughout his tenure. He even nominated me to represent him in UK in October at the opening of the legal year service. The first time an invitation was extended to Ghana, he nominated me to represent him. And quite recently, in April, the two of us traveled to Sierra Leone to sensitize the Supreme Court of Sierra Leone because they are having presidential elections on the 24th of this month. And so thank you, Quashie Eni Eboa.
It was an occasion to celebrate him, and he took to the dance floor at some point in time. dance moves there by the justices of the Supreme Court. Let's stay on matters relating to the judiciary, because the Attorney General appears to be reviewing a draft paper on the operations and maintenance contract between the Tema oil refinery and a private investor to commence the process of revamping the refinery. According to Herbert Krapper, once the lawyers and engineers are done with the process, government is hopeful that TOR will begin refining crude in the country. The Deputy Minister for Energy said this in an interview at the GNPC and BGP Pay Crew 2257 site when they joined the team to celebrate 3 million man-hours without any major accident at the camp.
The team, led by the Deputy Minister of Energy and the CEO of GNPC, were in the northern and Savannah regions to assess the progress of work in the prospecting of oil in the Voltarian Basin. Herbert Krapper said what TOR needs now is investment to put it in shape.
Dream that we discover oil onshore, and therefore means that we have a lot of traffic from international oil companies coming to places such as this to participate and engage in oil trading activities. Good news. And we've seen that the lessons from places such as Tema oil refinery tell us that modern technology is the way. When your machinery are old and your systems are not very functional, we see that there's a lot of wastage. And I think what is important is that we utilize those lessons. Currently, government is, through the Ministry of Energy, is working to bring in a private, strategic private partner to help to revive TOR. In terms of investment, what is needed in TOR is a matter of investment, and the Attorney General is reviewing the draft operations and maintenance contract, and once the lawyers have ticked it and the engineers, the technical people have ticked it, we hope that we can see a revived TOR.
The CEO of the GNPC, Opoku Ahunie Dankwa, on his part said the project brings huge potentials to the northern and Savannah regions and a game changer for the country.
So drilling a well will allow us to confirm our inferences from what we've done with the seismic. The goal is to do this as quickly as possible, because whenever you look at the time value of money, the faster we can get oil out of the ground, the better it is for this area and the country. So the goal is to drill hopefully Q1 2024.
The team earlier paid a courtesy call on the Northern Regional Minister, Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu, who assured them of a peaceful environment for work to progress.
Apart from the agricultural activities that we engage in the northern region, we do not have any commercial entities that would engage so many people. So if we do this work properly, I am just imagining the number of people who stand to benefit from this. And let me also assure you that the northern region is very peaceful, very, very peaceful. Those days of those chieftaincy things is over. And I can assure you that we are ready to engage whoever is ready to bring progress and prosperity to our people.
The Deputy Minister for Energy on his part said the Voltarian Basin covers 7 regions and over 200 communities.
Perhaps finally and equally very critically is to take feedback from people like you. Very, very important aspect of the work that is being done. This project, as I understand, covers about 7 regions. The northern region is a significant part of the area that it covers. Northeast as well, Savannah, Ashanti, Bono, Eastern and Oti regions. covering some 200 communities and then a number of districts.
And residents, motorists and business owners along the Dawenya to Pond Barrier stretch of the Accra-Lao Road are calling for the completion of road extension works on that stretch to end years of the heavy traffic situation. Government in June 2022 officially commenced the expansion of the 17-kilometer long Tema to Central University section of the N1 highway, expected to last for 18 months. 1 year on, residents and motorists say their lives are being negatively impacted due to the slow pace of work. My colleague Carlos Caloni toured the road Monday morning and has come through with this report.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. Monday morning here on the Dawenya Road, and there's already a gridlock on the stretch spanning over 5 kilometers from Kumbaria all the way to the Dawenya township. As part of measures aimed at reducing traffic congestion on the Dawenya Road, the government signed a $100 million contract with a UK-based construction firm, BHM, on 25th September 2020 for the design and construction of 17 kilometers long Tema Aflau Phase 1 project. Expected to be completed within 18 months, residents and motorists along the stretch say the slow pace of work 1 year on has worsened the traffic situation, which is negatively impacting their health and productivity.
They will do small and they will stop. We don't understand what is going on. This place, you can just use from Pram to this place about, let's say, 20 minutes to your destination. Tema Market just here. So that I will come back and go home and rest because of my neck. But I have to be in traffic for a long period of time before I get to my destination.
If you sit for a long time, your spinal cord is not a problem. So for health aspect is there, and you are also wasting a lot of fuel. That is another important aspect. So for health aspect is there, and the financial aspect also is there. It's affecting us on both sides.
For the past 5 years, the traffic situation has been very bad. In fact, it has reached a point where a lot of people that I came to meet in this part of the city have now moved back into the inner city because they can't withstand the traffic any longer. When you are going to work, you spend about 2.5 hours in traffic. And when you close and you're coming back, you are spending about 3 hours. Last Friday, I left the office exactly at 5. I got home 9:15. It is having a great toll, especially on me, because when I get to the office, I am already tired. I need to spend about additional hour and a half now to get myself settled before I could dig deeper into my office work. I mean, it is taking a toll on my productivity as well.
Some appreciable level of work has been done on all 4 intersections and storm drains. A drive through the stretch, however, shows work on the various sites have stalled, with some construction machines lying idle at Savannah Junction. Residents say the situation is affecting their livelihoods. They demand speedy completion of the project.
They came and scattered our station. Now they are coming to do an interchange in Dawenya, in Afienya Junction. But for the past of 2 months to 3 months to now, we are not seeing anything. And even that affects our station. And now the passengers thought that now there is no station here again. So when they are passing, they cross.
The last time they were here was almost 2 months. They started doing this thing, and then they brought this our gutter. Now the roofing that it was here, they removed everything. Now there was a machine parked here to construct the road. But almost 2 months, they were here to remove the machine and they take it away.
The project is not going fast. And moreover, too, when it's heavy rain, our room inside over there, it links. So it affects our things in the room. Sometimes our fabrics, sometimes the thing that we sew, or like maybe we put curtains down to put something inside. So we just split the government, they should do it fast.
Even though heavy police presence is felt on the stretch, their impact on traffic flow is minimal. Joy News followed up on the project site to understand the level of work done. Some workers seen on site would not grant interview without clearance from the Ghana Highways Authority. Commercial drivers along the stretch say they are considering a demonstration to push for a speedy completion of the project.
As I speak to you, we have started engagement with the landlord association, the stakeholders within the communities, that at least come out to do something for government to know that we people living around this area, we are suffering. The demonstration is what government understand. So we are planning to demonstrate.
Reporting from the Dowenya Road here in the Ningo Pram Pram district, my name is Carlos Kalodi for Joy News.
And you're welcome back. We know that, of course, in the last few days, the people of Nogokpo have been making a demand asking the leader of the Paris Chapel International, Archbishop Charles Agyinasare, to render an unqualified apology to the people of the Volta regional town, owing to what they describe as disparaging comments about the community. The community leadership has accused the religious leader of describing the town as a demonic headquarters. Well, we know that that 14 days ultimatum issued is underway, and Charles Agyinasare's church has also declared a one-week fasting to counter some threats that were issued to the religious leader. But let's speak to the community leaders who are still mounting pressure for that unqualified apology to be rendered. Spokesperson for the Nogokpo community is joining us here. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. For those who may not know you, kindly introduce yourself so we have a sense of where you stand within the community.
Well, thank you very much, and a very good evening to your viewers. My name is Nofialaga Maufomo Kobla Nonyibe. I'm the spokesperson of the Dufia of Nogokpo, and at the same time the president of Amuawo Development Institute.
You've noticed, I mean, this whole back and forth over an apology or otherwise. The belief is that backdoor, of course, some channels will be open so you are directly able to connect to the religious leader and to resolve the differences that may have happened. Ever since that press briefing or address that you made to the public, have you encountered at least leadership, if not the Archbishop himself, the leadership of his church, or the concerns you have?
Thank you. I would say since after our press conference, I will be receiving a lot of calls coming from different quarters that want the issue to be resolved amicably. And honestly, we don't have any issue on that, because we also want the issue to be resolved amicably, but we want the process to be done correctly. That is what we call it on.
And when you say correctly, what's the correct method for your community?
Because those calls that are coming, it looks like they want to engage you one-on-one, but you're dealing with a community. So if you're ready to talk, you just come and see the leadership, and then things are resolved. But speaking to individuals, I think, is not the best way to go.
Okay, so individuals have been called, and you've not been met as a community. What's the better form of engagement as you're demanding?
Well, the best...
What ought to have happened in your estimation about this?
Well, the best thing the Archbishop can do is to contact the leadership in Nogokpo, that is our Dufia, and his elders, sit down with them. We also have some few questions for him to answer, because if you describe a town as a demonic headquarters, then specifically you should know the location where the meeting is being held. So we also want to purify our town. So we want a better and a particular clarification from his side. You know, after that, then what we also have as a community will be communicated to him.
You want him to provide evidence? Many say that, I mean, when he was making those statements, he was making them several miles away from where, of course, we can find the community itself. He was speaking in church, and he may be speaking spirituality, which many of us would not ordinarily understand. Are you mindful of all these factors?
Well, when it comes to spiritual issue, I don't think anybody who is into, excuse me to say for a better word, European religion understands spirituality than the African. The African spirituality is above all spirituality. And we have ways and means to find where other negative energies are. And that is why we are also calling upon him to come and meet the leadership and show us the location so that we can purify. Because Nogokpo is a place where no demonic spirit can exist. You dare not steal. You dare not commit such negativity there. And everyone is known about the day we had a press conference. Someone left his mobile phone at the main gate of the palace. The phone was there till the following day. It was about to rain when somebody picked it to the palace and said then announcement was made. The person came for his phone. That kind of community we're talking about. And what really bothers us is that his church is also in the community. You
have people who attend Parish Chapel?
Even the assembly member of the church, of Nogokpo attends his church. You understand? So if you look at the implications of what he said, the truth is, Archbishop Agyinasare is no lightweight in this country. He commands a lot of followers. So for him to come to make such a statement, it carries weight. And the future...
And I'm sorry for cutting through, but when you say it carries weight, what's your fear?
Because his followers may assume or may believe what he's saying is the truth. But to us, it's absolutely false.
But he's the Archbishop here. We're not in the realms with him to know why he's saying that side of the country is a demonic headquarters.
When he talks about I'm not in the realm with him.
I'm not saying you are not.
Yes.
I'm saying he's the Archbishop.
Yes.
He's preaching to his followers.
Well, that is to his followers.
Yes.
But we in the African spirituality understand spiritual things than him.
Okay.
I have to be honest.
Okay, but here's the case.
Yes.
I'm making that case because he was speaking in church.
Yes.
Not at the time he was granting an interview, right? So the believers, well, it may just be part of the teachings he's putting out.
Well, the question again is, what is the motive behind his statement? If you listen to the video carefully, he said they had a crusade in Aflau.
Right.
And then he instructed the younger pastor to disgrace the witches and the wizards in Aflau. Then on their way back, their tire got a problem. And because of that, a whole town, a whole community is the demonic headquarters, witches of demons. That is where we find it very difficult. My brother, see, Nogokpo is located on the West African or ECOWAS highway. We have thousands of cars that ply that road, carrying goods, humans and goods. Nobody has ever come out to say such a statement. Meanwhile, you have also men of God who apply the pastors. Let me put it, because I'm not even comfortable with the term using men of God, because we are all from the Creator. So we all have that attribute. People, other evangelists, pastors, reverends also use that stretch of road. Now, if his junior pastor or the pastor he's talking about don't maintain his car, and his car has a problem, why do you attribute it to a whole town? Now, the question again is, what is the motive? He is saying with authority that he destroyed the demons in Aflau. And that is why he had that encounter. So he's trying to show his powerful nature to his congregants. But trust me, Agyinasare is powerless. I'm telling you on authority. His congregants can believe him because they are part of the church. But in our side, he is powerless.
Okay, well, probably Scripture admits that all powers belong to God. So, that's settled. But the reason for which he may be making this statement, many believe, is because of the stereotype around the community itself. Why do you feel that there's so much misrepresentation or miseducation or probably misinformation when we're speaking about Nogokpo as a township? Why do you feel there's usually that misconception?
Well, For me personally, I don't see it as a misconception per se. When people want to seek justice, when people want fairness, that is where the name of Nogokpo is mentioned. For instance, when something is missing, and he's looking for it and he's not getting it, and he was like, okay, I will take it to Nogokpo. The meaning is that he's want to take it to Nogokpo to seek justice. So Nogokpo is a town of justice. The supreme, the thunder deity on the land is a just one. If you are innocent, you go scot-free. But if you really commit, he will visit you. That is it. So when people use the name Nogokpo, I will go to Nogokpo, it's not based on negativity, but on the positive side. Let me give an example. We were all here when, how do you call it, a celebrity went to Nogokpo. You see, the temple is such that you don't just take an issue there and immediately the issue is given to the energy to act. Because knowing how the thunder god acts with thunder, so we try to exploit every avenue to solve or resolve the issue amicably. So, for instance, let's say you are bringing an issue to Nogokpo or to the temple. A letter will be given to you through, or will go with our bailiffs. We have a bailiff, we have a temple. We have a bailiff at the temple. Yes, officially to the person to appear, to answer those questions that the allegation that has made against you. So when the person come and they sit and they resolve the issue amicable, it ends it there. But when there is lies, confusion, that is where the issue is taken to the thunder god.
So in this case, did you write to the Archbishop?
In this case, yes, we are, by this time, I hope he should have his letter.
Oh, you did?
Yes, by this time, I know by this time he should have his letters.
You dispatched the letters?
Yes, we dispatched the letters. By this time, he should have his letters. That is why
I'm interested in that. What's stated in the letter, by the way?
Just what it's contained in the press conference. Okay. We invite him, the elders are inviting him to come to explain some few things to the elders. That is all we want. Then what the community also have will be made known to him. Well, the rest is for him to act on it or to leave it.
Okay. How about the reports we are hearing that the paramount chief of the area is dissociating himself from some comments that may have been made in the press? Have you heard that too?
Honestly, I've spotted some few things on the social media that is purported to have been said by the paramount chief of the Soma traditional area. Personally, I haven't received or hear anything from him. Now, I spoke with our Dufia of Nogokpo, Togbi Saba the Fifth, who told me he has not received any communique from the paramount chief. So I wouldn't like to talk about it.
So you're not confirming or denying that?
Yes, because I haven't personally gotten any official communication from his text.
So we disregard the reports?
Well, I wouldn't say you should disregard the report. He, as an individual, has the right to speak his mind or to disassociate himself to it.
Okay. Okay, Agyinasare decides not to show up. What happens?
Well, then the energies will act. The energies of the land will act. It's as simple as that. We are not interested in going to any court to seek any redress. I don't want to go deep into that. We also have our court in the temples, in the place.
But why are you making this a matter of spirituality when many say that you've gone to the public through the press and you are stoking quote and unquote ethnocentric comments, or I mean tensions, if we could put it that way? The fact that by simply coming out through your traditional leadership and opinion leaders, you're then bringing a whole ethnic group into this fray. And you've seen the conversation online, have you?
I think at this point we are playing with English language here, so I would also like to
well, I guess
express my.
You get what I'm trying to say.
I'm getting what you.
Because you have followers. You have followers. You have people who follow you.
Definitely. My brother, we the Evers are peaceful people. We are loving people. We are caring people. Our yes is our yes. For years, the Evers and we the Evers have been disrespected. Let me put it this way. In so many ways, there are some time ago, another man of God also came and said in the Volta region, they have something they say, Joseviera, Abuviera. It's like when they hear things about the Volta region, they don't take their time to do the necessary inquiries. And if he have done, he would have understand that Jose has nothing to do with Christianity. Boo. It's a different thing on its own. These are celestial words. You understand? If you don't understand it, don't go deep into it. So basically what I'm trying to say is people have disrespected us for a very long time. We're trying to be peaceful. Now, Agyinasare's issue, we are not taking that one lightly because, one, for me, from our angle, he has insulted the whole of Wadanyigba. He has insulted entire Votarians and then narrowed it to Nogokpo to declare it as the demonic headquarters.
So that's where the challenge is, the fact that, and that's why I was raising the question about your followers and potentially what this could mean. When you bring in a whole tribe, a whole ethnic group to say we've been disrespected and you pin that to a religious leader, the fear is that we may have tension between these two groups.
My brother, the tension, the first week, the first video was in circulation. Honestly, there was a lot of tension among the youth who wanted to act. And that is where the elders went to a meeting and then came out with a press release that they should leave the issue. The elders are handling the issues.
So you rather rein in your youth, the youth?
Yes. The letter was sent to the youth and everyone concerned to exercise patience and look at what the elders, how the elders will handle the whole issue. And I think that letter helped a lot because it helped calm nerves, you understand. So it's not about me trying to be or playing a tribal card and this thing, but that is the reality on the ground. We are being disrespected and it is time to say enough is enough. Now, again, you did mention of the community is separate from the spiritual side.
Precisely.
Well, every land has a supreme energy or deity or a god on it. And the land on the Nogokpo, what makes Nogokpo is the thunder deity. So if you describe such a sacred and holy and peaceful place as a demonic headquarters, you've disrespected the energy as well, and the people and the land. And that is what our brothers and sisters they don't understand. That is our point. That is why we want him, because the supreme energy of the land does not allow or encourage people such negative energies to be around, so that he will help us to clean the town.
Your God doesn't forgive?
He forgives.
Yeah, so why not forgive him?
When you do the needful, you'll be forgiven. It's as simple as that. Thou shalt not kill. If you kill, you can't be forgiven.
Okay, there's a statement from the Peace Council. We understand the Peace Council is wading into all of this. That's the statement from the National Peace Council, indicating that the Peace Council has noticed with concern the current impasse between the Archbishop, Charles Agyinasare, and the founder of the Paris Chapel International, and Nogokpo traditional authorities. The attention of the Council has also been drawn to statements that have been made by some religious personalities in the country regarding the same issue, recognizing the fact that the impasse, if not quickly addressed, may have consequences on the peaceful coexistence and religious tolerance in the country. The National Peace Council, in pursuit of its mandate to facilitate conflict prevention, appeals, first of all, and you need to listen to that, to the Nogokpo traditional authorities and the Paris Chapel International to remain calm and not give in to provocation as efforts are being made or undertaken to address the situation. Now, the Council calls on those who have been affected in any way by the stalemate to exercise restraint and circumspection in their comments and pronouncements on the matter. The Council continues to indicate that they are further urging the media and all those who make statements on the matter to exercise maximum restraint in their narratives to protect the peace, stability, and integrity of our beloved country. We want to inform the general public that the Volta Regional Peace Council has begun processes to engage the parties for an amicable redress. The Council concludes by respectfully reminding Ghanaians of how far we have come as one nation, living together, one people, for many years. You accept the apology, first of all?
Yes, we've also received.
Oh, so you know about this?
We know about it. We've received it. We've received the letter also. Our Dufia have received the letter from the...
So this was done through the Regional Peace Council?
Exactly. Exactly.
So do you accept the terms, the fact that some talks may happen behind?
My brother, we don't have an issue with that because, see, let me make this statement and make it very clear. When the first video was in circulation and the backlash from the public domain, we wanted to come out. But when the elders sat, they decided that, no, let's hold on. Because of the backlash, let's see the coming Sunday if the Reverend will go in his church, will retract and apologize, and so that the matters will end there. But we were surprised that on Sunday, his statement that he made per the videos and the release was not an apology, but rather justification of what he said. And that is where we realized that he's taking us for granted.
But he says his children, I mean his wife, they all come from the Volta region.
My brother, I agree. I don't have any problem with the wife being a Voltarian or he having children with her. But my brother, can you use your left hand to point into the eyes of your in-laws? It's not done. For me, it is like, from what I've gathered, it's like the Archbishop don't respect his wife and don't respect his in-laws, because if he can go to that extent and he doesn't see anything wrong with it, that is where we are. So when we waited after this statement, the second one, you can see that is when we came up with our press conference, so that we will let him come to explain some few things. Then we take it up from there.
Okay. Looking at the fact that the assembly member for the area goes to his church, as you're indicating to me, if he comes to apologize on his behalf or initiates that talk between the traditional leaders and the church, are you open to that? Have you spoken to him already on that?
Yes, the assembly member is part of, before we came out with the press conference, we had several meetings, and the assemblyman sits in the meeting. Yes, he also did not agree with the way the Archbishop tried was tarnishing or tarnished the image of where he is the assemblyman. He's not equally not happy with that. All that we are saying is, yes, it's the head that made the statement. So the head must initiate the peace, or let's say the amicable solution first. The assemblyman is the lowest when it comes to the ranks within the Perez, how do you call is it Perez?
Yeah.
Chapel. So for that, yes, he has also made his statement. We respect his statement, but he's part of us. Whatever backlash or happens after this, my brother, the implications of what Agyinasare said, if not resolved today, will harm our young ones in the future. It has already started. To be honest with you, one of our brothers in Agbozoma had an appointment, applied for a job in Accra here. He went for the interview. He went through, he was called to come for his appointment letter. Just as that statement was made, his appointment letter was turned down. They refused him.
Really? You have evidence to back that?
I'm telling you, I can bring him to the studio to testify. And this is just one of the implications. What about the teeming youth who are seeking for jobs? What about our young women? How is it going to affect their marital lives? You understand? These are some of the implications. That's why we don't want to take it lightly. It goes a lot of way to damage our people and our region.
Okay. We need to go, but I hope that you would also send a word of caution to the youth out there to remain calm. I hope you keep doing that as leaders of the traditional area.
Sure, the youth, I believe, of the town and the entire voter youth are calm. They are looking up to the traditional authorities to take it up from there. So we'll wait and see what will pop up after the 14 days ultimatum.
Okay. And after 14 days, I hope there will be peace. That's all we are looking for.
We all pray for that.
Thank you for joining us. We're grateful.
You're welcome.
Thank you. The last day of May this year was, of course, colored with some form of grief following the demise of one of Africa's illustrious writers and activist, Amata Edu. Born on the 23rd of March 1942, Amata Edu was known for her impactful publications and advocacies on women empowerment. Days after her demise, tributes have been pouring in across the globe, eulogizing her gallant contributions in the world of literature, of course, and for humanity at large. On today's edition of Joy News Remembrance series, we bring you excerpts from her book, Diplomatic Pounds, read by veteran Ghanaian actor, cultural activist, and filmmaker Akofa Ejiani.
This is from Amata Edu's Diplomatic Pounds and Other Stories. And here's an excerpt from New Lessons. That's why I'm actively wishing him ill with a nicely rounded female kiss, that he falls hopelessly in love with that young woman, whoever she is. That would complicate things very nicely for him, wouldn't it? And in the meantime, what I've got to admit is that whoever first said no, we're cool, knew exactly what they were talking about. After all, much of the time, most of the places where we are likely to live on this earth are either hot, very hot, or cold, very cold, and cold and cool.
Well, quite a touching one there, but that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I'm Blessed Sugan. Log on to myjoyonline.com. We have stories for you there. Next is Let's Talk Showbiz. Thanks for watching The Pulse. We're back tomorrow. Bye-bye.